asking me how's it hanging, how's it happen? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast Rolling Stone Magazine describes as the one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to cover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are also sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your entire code CVPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Link to the podcast below. Feature presentation time. We recorded this episode on Wednesday, April 9th. It's coming out on Thursday, April 10th, because this band's got a brand new album coming out on Friday, April 11th. We have Tristan from Magnolia Park coming to you on the podcast today. The band has a brand new album called VAMP coming out on April 11th. We talk about the idea and lore that is behind the album VAMP. We talk about how they created their community of vamps and how they are using that for good and trying to create positive impact in the world through animal drives and potential blood drives, tree plantings, and more to come. We also dive deep into the different way they went about writing this album, creating this, some of the songs that show that, and just how much further can they go. It not only as a band musically, but also as a live band as well, with a headlining tour coming up and what might come next. You guys ready? Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. I've been probably asking about this interview and trying to get in this band the podcast for months at this point. And at the time of recording, we are 2 days away from their brand new album, VAMP, coming out on April 11th. So by the time you hear this, either it's going to be the day before the album comes out or the album will already be out, but we're going to hype you up for it any way possible. This band, again, I'll say this. They got a space in rock music, but man, they can go all over the place, whether it's pop punk, emo, metalcore, alt rock, new metal. It can go anywhere they want, and they're expanding their sound even further with this album. And if you want to enjoy it even further after its release, they're going to be touring the U.S., headlining. So you can be able to get tickets and see who they are. And if you've already seen them, you get to fall in love with them even more. So please welcome Tristan from Magnolia Park to the podcast. So Tristan, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on, man. Dude, again, days, even a day before the record releases. How you feeling right now?
Super nervous and super excited. It's just so surreal that it's finally gonna be out, because we put so much detail and work into it. It just I'm so nervous, to be honest. Yeah.
I don't blame you for being nervous. It's a brand new album. It's something that people are going to get to hear and get to, fully experience for the first time, literally Friday the 11th, and then see it on tour. So I understand where the nerves come in, but it's got to be excited nerves, because you've been working on this for so long. So you know exactly what's in there. You know the heart and soul that got put into this record. And it's about time for everyone to get even, further into Magnolia Park and really get into this record.
Yeah. I'm excited for them to, because we added some lore and stuff, just more detail in the record, so fans could just fall in love with it more,
That's understandable. I'm curious about that. When it comes to adding lore to this type of an album, what did you guys do with that? And can you explain to us a little bit so that, of course, people can really dive deep into it upon release?
Yeah, so we have actually a whole web page that breaks down our first story that goes accompanied with the album. We have our main character, Aurora. She's basically battling the Shadow Call, and she's got to get the vampires together to battle against them. The Shadow Call is basically, if you can think of Star Wars, Empire, or any evil organization. Their leader's Obsidian, which he's a very, very not so nice guy, and the story gets into that more and more. So yeah, you can go check it out. It's on our website. It has all the character breakdowns, our emblems, all the powers and stuff too that you can scroll through. It's pretty cool.
That is interesting because, again, we see, especially in today's day and age of 2025, streaming and singles being the dominant way to consume music and to deliver music to people. We're not seeing as many bands create albums that are going to have that story, that lore behind it, even though, probably the hottest band in the world right now, being Sleep Token, has lore up the freaking ass, and it's just what people are fully immersed into along with the sound as well. So you can clearly tell that there is still a heavy want, need, and desire for something like that. And of course, everybody go check out their website, go check out the entire story lore, get behind it so that you understand exactly what's going on when you listen through this album. Maybe listen through it one time, the first time just so you get the full sound and sonic feels of it. Then the second time, go through it after reading the lore and really go through the whole entire story, because you're going to get two completely unique experiences. How many times have we heard people say, I wish we could go back and listen to something for the first time? You get to do that here, basically, if you go about it that route.
Yeah, that's very true. And the album itself, you can kind of like listen to it without like even knowing the lore or anything. We wanted to make sure that basically like it's just fire songs, like fire 11 tracks, and you don't have to like be into the lore, but we had like a lot of like detail in there that's like subtle, so like the fans that like really love this can like dive into it more.
That's understandable, and that's really something that is not easy to do, to create the full-on lore and really have that as an integral part of the story, while also having the songs be able to stand out on their own in the, again, age of streaming and single domination. Jumping back in the lore a little bit, though, one thing I'm curious about that is, what was the inspiration to go behind the lore? But also, was it something that, especially you're talking about, Shadow Cult, like the evil empire from Star Wars, was there anything that fully inspired that in your guys' mind when you were creating this?
Yeah, when we were doing our first like kind of demos at my brother's house, I was watching like Vampire Hunter D, which is like an old anime, and I got really inspired by like just the aesthetic of it, and I wanted to do something really cool for like our fans, like, and have like a community. So we started this like vampires thing, like basically our fans are the vampires, and they can like get behind that idea by like creating a world for it. So that was like the goal and inspiration for that. So to figure that out did take a while, but I think everyone will be pretty happy like reading the full story to it.
I think so too. It's always interesting to hear exactly where the inspiration for these stories and where the lore came from, because we get a better idea of not only who you are as artists, but who you are as people, what you're influenced by, what you're really passionate about, and see that come out in your music. That's something that, music is a beautiful thing to have, because it's a delivery method for that in an expressive way that people can do in any way possible. If we didn't have something like that, the world would be black, gray, and if I look outside right now, I'm like, yeah, it's just overcast and doesn't look too good. The world would be like that as a good day.
Yeah, I mean, a large part of it too was like trying to do something very positive behind it. Like we did do it was a smaller thing, but we did like an animal drive with the vampires, and we wanted to do we're trying to do more things like that, like a blood drive or like stuff like that is like positive through like the community, where we can like have a positive impact on our world or location. We're just like figuring out how to do that, because we're just learning.
You're just learning, but you're gonna get better at it as you go along and figuring out exactly what works and how to make the most amount of impact. It's like anything. Being in a band, when you guys first started Magnolia Park, could you have done what you're doing right now without that knowledge and without that experience? Probably not. So the more you go through, the more you learn about it. And you did an animal drive. Now, are you talking about like getting people to, or a drive to like help people adopt animals and get animals out of shelters?
No, we basically we partnered with Back to Nature, which is like a local to Orlando animal shelter, and we had people like donate food and like items the shelter would need, essentially. So, and then they came in and like did an animal show, which was pretty cool. like they had like a possum, and like just like gave some information to everybody about like being safe towards animals, and it was really cool. It was really sweet.
All right, after I show this to somebody, you're going to probably become my girlfriend's favorite band with a move like that, because she is the biggest animal I've ever met in my entire life, and she will fully get behind Magnolia Park just because of that.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But I also love that the idea of what you're doing and trying to inspire as much positivity and good as you can in this world, because again, we don't necessarily see that as much. We always see negativity whenever we turn on the TV, whenever we open up our phones and go to any kind of social media site. That's all we really ever see. And when you have a platform where you have an ability to reach people, connect people, and make that positive impact, you're doing it. Again, the animal drive you talk about, wanting to do a blood drive. What else can you guys do, especially with your vampire community, to make the world a better place? And those stories and those things just end up creating a positive wave for everybody that's involved and everyone that's even in the music scene. Even think about, we'll throw to Cannibal Corpse. How many times do we hear stories about how Corpse Grinder goes and plays the claw machines and wins like every single animal and just donates it, or walks in a Target or Walmart and buys a whole bunch of Lego sets and donates them? Yeah. Like, there's a great piece of positive that can be found in heavy music when we use what we have for the better. And the fact that you guys are taking that idea and running with it in your very own way, that's something that many, many people should be getting behind, not only as fans of music, but just as decent human beings.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Like, without the community or the fans, like, music would be nothing. So as long as we can leave like a positive impact on someone, that's all that matters to us at the end of the day.
So I know you brought up a blood drive. Any other ideas that you have coming up to add to this right now that the band's working on?
Yeah, we are trying to like work out a lot of ideas, like specifically like planting trees. Is the next one we wanted to try. I guess it's just like we need time to like make sure we can like do it right, where we like give it our all. At the same time managing music and like touring, so it's very complex, but we'll make it work. But yeah, the planting trees, and I think Freddie, our other guitarist, he went to clean up like a local river that has like a lot of pollution, so like stuff like that.
That is incredible, to be honest with you. Just expanding even further beyond what might be thought of possible. It does sound like it's tough, though, managing the band, touring, making music, managing that whole entire side of things, and trying to add this to it. So it might be a little time before some of this gets off the ground. But as time continues to grow, and as more people get into this is very easily something that could happen with Magnolia Park. You build up on this, and many other artists start to see this. Many other companies start to see this, and they want to get behind this as well. So now a whole nother entity opens up with you guys at the forefront, where you're still focusing on the music, the band, touring, all that stuff, while having a whole nother team running this, more, I'll say even humanitarian side for you guys, that allows you to not only do this when you have your time off at home, but also around the country when you're going on tours. You could take it, instead of just having one day off, you could have 2 days off. So you could spend another day in a city and maybe do the river cleanup, maybe do the blood drive. Like, instead of doing it around Florida, maybe do it somewhere in could do it in Los Angeles, somewhere, Philadelphia, Chicago, some bigger cities that could definitely be impacted by that, but have a lot of fans come out and support you guys and be a part of it.
Yeah, that's definitely the goal for us.
I'm not sure if I've heard many bands even talk about that or consider that, but if that is your goal, that is something that I absolutely want to see be achieved. Beyond that, though, I want to, maybe revisit this next year in 2 years to see how far this actually has gone and really do like an updated interview about that, because I want to see people see kind of like not necessarily where the inception was, but where the beginnings of the actual action were being taken and how much further it has come and how closer to that dream you guys have actually achieved.
Yeah, I think we'll get there. At the very least, we'll try to do like one big event a year that has like some positivity to it.
Do you think that's something you could get the record label to be behind you as well to help support?
Yeah, probably. I mean, really, it's really about just like the like building the community and like the vampires, and like I guess just setting a tone. Like we can make a difference. Like, even though there's like not a ton of us, we can make a difference if we come together.
I totally understand, and again, I brought up the reason with the record label because I know how, again, you guys are with them for everything music and that part of the business related. So when it comes to expanding that relationship and maybe getting that first kickstart when it comes to having some, I'd say corporate backing behind what you guys are doing, that's an easy place to kind of get that started and then see where it grows from there. Because again, you guys have a great relationship with them. Who knows with who else they know on the like as their label, as your label mates, who else they know as, you know, other contacts that could really help you guys out with this.
Yeah, that's very true.
So now I'm going to be even more excited. We're going to keep an eye on that one for you guys as well, because it's something that I want to make sure everyone gets to know about. One thing I also want to make sure everyone gets to know about is your upcoming headlining run to support VAMP with, I know Hot Milk is on there. I can't remember who else is on there for the life of me, so I'm very sorry. But when it comes to this tour, I mean, I know you guys are excited for it, but what can we expect from Magnolia Park on this headlining run to support VAMP?
It's definitely the best live rig we've had. We spent the time to get like our own lights and like really putting the time in like the production around the set. Also, I would like to say the whole lineup is pretty sick, because we have like South Arcade, which is like my favorite like new band. They're so sick. They're like early 2000s revival. And then we have Savage Hands, this amazing rock band, and then of course like Hot Milk. So I think the fans will come in and enjoy the whole show. And like we really wanted to create like the live set around the story a little bit, so they can expect like a very cool like lore interlude and stuff, things like that. We just wanted to add like a lot of detail to the show.
And now that you guys have, you know, more of an ability to put a rig together, more ability to put like a stage production together to make this happen, along with the headlining run, you have more time on stage to let this whole entire thing flesh out, from creating that experience with so many of the new songs, while still being able to go into your back catalog and play songs that, of course, people want to hear, people are excited to hear, people are going to go crazy for. So you have the ability to play around with that. And I know it's probably daunting too, because you want to make sure this goes off as well as possible with the investment that you're putting in with the live experience. But you also have to think about this too. Look at the rooms that you're playing in, because the one that sticks out in my head is the one that I'm closest to, is when you guys are playing in Chicago at the Concord. Like that's a 1,000-person venue that you guys are headlining.
Yeah,
and being able to create a stage show around there. And I've seen many bands play in that room before and headline in that room. I've seen August Burns Red headline there. I've seen Wage War headline there. I've seen Amity Affliction headline there. Last year, I saw Sum 41 play a small show in there, and with a full production, like for like a 4,000 capacity ballroom stage in a 1,000 person room. And if you guys can create a magic like it was in the room that night, oh my God, then you guys are going to be playing like at least 3,000 cap rooms on your next run, if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's definitely what's we're investing to a lot, is like our live show and like our headline business. As a band, that's where you build, you know, and then it takes time to get there. It's such a blessing that we even get to play like 1,000 cap rooms in the first place. So very grateful.
The other thing that excites me about that too is, and especially with the added production, the added stage presence you guys are going to be using on this tour, what's going to happen come later in the year, or maybe even early next year, when you guys might get an offer for a much larger tour, whether it's that those big gigantic rooms, or even opening in an arena tour, because now there's not only a heavier demand for Magnolia Park to be seen live, but there is an understanding that the stage presence and the overall show and presentation is going to be something that's going to resonate with a much larger audience that may or may not necessarily fully know who you guys are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all we want to do, is like upgrade our stage presence, upgrade our live rig. I think this is our technically second headline tour of the US. So yeah, we're really looking forward to this. It's pretty crazy to say that, but yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
Well, it's possible. Jump back to your first headline tour. Like, again, how many people were you seeing tonight on that one?
We were doing like 250. We did a couple of like 500 caps too. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah.
And yeah, compared to already like our ticket sales and all that, like have like quadrupled. So which is just amazing. It's insane. It just feels insane. So thank you to everyone.
Yeah, and that's the reason I asked that question. I wanted to actually get people and even yourself too to recognize where that difference came from the demand for Magnolia Park from your first headlining run in the US to now this headlining run with VAMP coming out, and seeing that, what we're saying about the added production, we're saying about the ability to be playing even larger tours, opening for much larger bands, but also opening potentially in arenas. Like, this isn't some far-fetched idea or like, okay, this might happen in a couple of years. This very well could happen later this year or into 2026. It's a gigantic possibility. And if this whole entire idea that you guys have with the Vamps, with joining everybody in for these all common good purposes, who knows how much further this could take you so much quicker. But it's all based on the work you guys are putting in and the true value that is behind who you guys are as people.
For sure. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to what comes next.
Well, of course, what comes directly next is the release of VAMP on April 11th, and let's get everyone even more psyched about this record. We got them psyched about tour, we got them psyched about the future, but let's dial it even closer and get them psyched about VAMP. If you listen to the 4 singles right now with Shallow Worship, Cult, and Shadow Talk, there is a unique sound throughout these songs, and a unique sound that when it comes to other songs that you guys have written or other popular songs that Magnolia Park has, there is a much different flavor to them. So when it came to writing VAMP from a sonic and instrumental perspective, what was that like, and what was the inspiration behind this overall?
I think so. Me, Vince, and Freddie are like the producers of the band. That's like our role. So we wanted to really push ourselves in going into like, I guess, just upgrading our production and like what we could do as writers. So we've tried a lot of like organic synths, like Moogs, and like just like different like production techniques. And we also went in with Andrew Wade, Hiram Hernandez, Tyler Smith, and Andy Karpovic. All those people are like huge producers in the rock and metal scene. So it was really cool like learning from them, and we just wanted to like prove ourselves in I guess metal, but do it in like the Magnolia Park way. So that was our intention.
That makes sense, because there were times I was waiting. I'm like, where is that like maybe like upbeat pop punk flavor going to come in at times? And on the singles, I didn't really hear any of that. But again, the album shows a much more expansive reach of what Magnolia Park not only is sonically, but what still can be in the future. And that's always a great thing too, because we get to see who you are as artists and get to see that continued growth. But just shouting out those producers, well, because I'm listening to them, like, I know all those names. Like, I've heard people talk about Andrew Wade heavily before. I've heard, especially on the podcast, I've heard Hiram's name come up, a number of times, probably about 5 or 6. I haven't heard Tyler's name come up with bands on the podcast, but I know exactly who he is because I see his name pop up in different publications. So the fact that you got to work with them specifically to also create a little bit more of a heavier sound the Magnolia Park way, those are the guys that are going to be able to help expand that and have different ideas that are going to understand what you were trying to go for and be able to perfectly place it and produce it for this type of sound. Specifically, what did you guys as, creators of music and producers of music get to learn from these guys that really resonated with you for the creation of this album?
Yeah, I think specifically things like detail and creating moments on songs is something during this album we learned is like super important. It's not just about like, you can get to the point where you have a very catchy hook, you feel great about the song, but how do you level it up even more? And I think that's something where these producers excel at.
Understandable to think about that, because I think about, I'll bring up Tyler Smith. I know he works a lot with Ronnie Radke and Falling Reverse, and they're great at not only creating those catchy hooks, but also just those gigantic moments in songs that elevate them. And you take a look at anything from the Popular Monster album, whether it's the singles or what came out on it. Like, I think about the Titra song Popular Monster. I think about Zombified, Watch the World Burn, Ronald, All My Life. It's just you have those hooky moments with those especially catchy choruses, but there's always some other piece of the song that just stands out and elevates it, whether it is like the breakdown, whether it's the overall mood of the song, or like Watch the World Burn with the whole entire rapping that leads into it. Like, you weren't expecting that, but it came out fantastic. So being able to learn that from them and get a better idea of how to elevate the music that you guys are making, it's not gonna, change the sound of who you guys are at the core, but it's gonna make you think about, when it comes to writing music, when it comes to Magnolia Park, how do we elevate this in our own way, which is, especially on some of these singles on VAMP, what you did here.
Thank you. Yeah. I think one moment I'm super proud of is on just like how Shadow Talk just gets like on the breakdown, it just gets really chaotic, and there's so much production detail that we added on it with the crazy like synths and strains behind it. It sounds like just like pure chaos for sure.
It does sound like pure chaos, especially because when we got to record this, that song was released literally 2 hours before we record this, and I'm glad I went through it like 8 or 9 times, because throughout that whole song, it was feeling like that point where it's, you go through the song, get through the chorus, and it does have that catch to it, so it does have that positive flow. But of course, you're waiting for that moment. You're waiting for that something grand to happen. And as the bridge picks up and you're starting to wait for it, and you're starting to wait for that moment when it hits, that moment is that moment for that song. So when it comes to that idea, you guys absolutely hit on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I also love hearing the unclean vocals that were just going manic throughout the ending of that breakdown. I was not expecting that from you guys at all, but my God, am I glad it was put in there.
Yeah, Josh, he grew a lot during this recording. Like, he's just a very talented and versatile like vocalist. I think he's very, very underrated.
And only way to show people that, he's underrated and should be rated properly in a much higher context is to show more of his range, show more of his talent, show more of his skill, because not only is it going to show that, but it's going to show a much larger pool of what Magnolia Park can do, and it's going to create a much grander experience as time goes on. We think about the bands that are creating those experiences and really amplifying on so many things in heavy music. And of course, who are the ones that are doing it? They're the ones that can create those creative moments in a much more expansive way and show all that variation with themselves still at the core. Bring Me the Horizon, Bad Omens, even with Electric Callboy having fun doing all the little crazy tidbits that they do, they show it as well. So seeing you guys be able to show that off in this album, especially on the singles, it does stand out for sure.
Thank you.
Now, one of the other songs that really, really, really got me and threw me off initially was Worship, because it does have a couple of features on there, and it was something that was completely different than anything I would have imagined you guys do. So what was that song like? And especially as a single being released, what was the reaction to that from your guys' standpoint?
Well, the reaction was really, really great. I think after Shallow, it being more like about like relationships and like love and lust, we were kind of diving into just like more of that. And Vince, our bassist, he like writes and produces for Vana and Platinum as well. So that's where the connection came. So yeah, just writing it, it felt like very organic, because it's just like we worked with Platinum before on Animal, and he just crushes. He's such like a cool, unique artist, and then Vana is another very amazing artist just to work with. So it just felt like very organic the whole time.
And that's exactly what you want in a song when you're creating more of like a collaborative effort or trying something completely new. If it doesn't feel organic, if it feels entirely forced, and you're not fully feeling it as a writer, then as people that are going to be listening to it as a final product, how are we expected to fully get immersed into it in a natural way if you guys didn't feel natural when it came to the writing process?
Yeah. It has to feel right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm even looking through like what I wrote down for the song too. And because it's like there's even like certain, especially when we got to the chorus, there was some inspiration of the vocals and the overall melodic flow that really went through it. And I'm like, this is a different from like your past. It also creates a feeling of like what, like an inspiration from Bad Omens or an inspiration from a band like Sleep Theory. And it just needed something like at the end of it, like, again, a good hook, a good chorus, but something to tie it all in together. And then that's when the bridge hits and it's like, okay, now you're seeing it all come together in that moment. So again, it shows you guys know exactly what you're doing right. And then you elevated every step of the way by being able to create a moment in each of these songs, whether it was the beginning, middle, end, you've created that moment.
Thank you.
The other thing I was impressed about this too is because for that song specifically, for me, I like the heavier side. I like the more up-tempo stuff. I like stuff that's going to make me want to run through a wall or throw down the pit and have an absolute blast. But overall, I'm like, this is a song, especially for people that are getting into Magnolia Park. This shows, or have been in there, this was a single that showed exactly what you're capable of and what is potential in the future. It also showed that when it came to writing in collaboration with more people and on maybe a different style, that you guys know how to do that and bring that story to life and really make people feel it, not only through the chorus, through everything else, but finding that moment as well. Again, for me, it's a great attempt. Is it not is my favorite song of the singles? No, just because it's not really fully my style, but my God, do I have a lot of respect for you guys and what you did here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm also excited for people to hear Crave with Pink Noise. They're smaller artists, but they crushed it like unbelievable. I'm super excited for people to hear that.
Now you bring that up, and there was always a question I ask when it comes to artists that have new albums coming out is not what your favorite song is, but out of the songs that are going to be released on release day, what's the one you're most excited for people to hear? And it sounds like it's Crave on this one, right?
Yeah, Crave and Ophelia. Ophelia is very sad. I was writing it while my grandma was in hospice. And yeah, that song's basically about like processing losing someone. So I think that might help a lot of people.
Ooh, so and that's always one thing I'm always curious about, especially when it comes to the end of an album, because it's like, how are you going to end it? How are you going to end this whole entire piece? But when it comes to having that lore and the story that's behind Vamp and ending it in a way that has a much more personal touch from the inspiration side and ends in a little more maybe of a somber tone. Again, I haven't heard the song yet, so I'm just taking guesses at this point from what you just said. But it stands out to be something that we're going to end this album feeling something more personal, but maybe a more personal connection to the entire lore of this album due to the fact that it came from such a heavily emotional place from your own heart.
Yeah. And Ophelia is also a character in our world as well. So like I said, we try to make it all tie in and make sense with each other.
Totally understandable. And going a little bit more into Crave, when it comes to that, especially featuring Pink Noise, what can we expect on that as a teaser? I want to get more people amped up for this because, again, the album comes out on the 11th. We're going to release this the day beforehand. I want to get people like, give me it now, even though I only have to wait, less than 24 hours.
Yeah, it's basically like a huge rock, just anthem. Definitely inspired by Linkin Park. I would say that. But yeah, it's unique in the way because we took, I guess, like the modern kind of grungier aesthetics and more ethereal production, and then added like Linkin Park's like angst and bounce to it. If that makes sense. Yeah,
that makes sense. So I was just about to ask, what kind of Linkin Park are we talking about? Are we talking like Hybrid Theory Meteora Linkin Park? Are we talking like Hunting Party Linkin Park, or what they just did in 2024? But of course, anytime anybody hears something like, oh yeah, we kind of took that idea and we took inspiration from Hybrid Theory Meteora, so many people are like, sign me up, I'm in.
Yeah, it's definitely Hybrid Theory like vibes for sure.
Okay, so I guess before the album comes out on, here's what you do on April 10th, the day before the album comes out, get yourself ready for it. Listen to more Magnolia Park, listen to the singles, but then listen to Hybrid Theory all the way through and just get yourself in the mindset so that when Crave comes on, you're ready to bounce, you're ready to go, and you're ready to roll.
Yeah, it's never a bad time to listen to Hybrid Theory.
Now, is Crave going to be one of the songs you guys play live on this upcoming run?
Yeah, we've actually played it live on our Bowling for Soup run in the UK, which was sick. And people loved it. So I'm already hyped to play on like our actual tour.
All right, got to dive deeper into that. You said people loved it, but give us some more. What was the real reaction? What was like the more expansive, detailed reaction when you played it live?
Well, specifically, a specific memory I remember was our London headliner. We sold it out, and when that song came on, like people already knew it somehow because we were teasing it a little bit on social media. And like I just heard the crowd was so loud that day, and they were moshing, crowd surfing, and it was insane. It felt surreal to experience that to a song that's not even out yet.
They already knew it, and it hadn't even come out yet.
Yeah, like basically we've been teasing it a little bit on TikTok and social media, but they like were yelling the chorus back at us, which is crazy.
All right, let me just take a step back on this, because think about this from your perspective, but fans, think about this from a fan perspective. There's a band out there that has an unreleased song out there that they have just been teasing on social media. But when they go and play the entire thing live, not only have people only heard a small tidbit of it, but they are so enthralled with it that when they see that song live, they are actively participating in the song. They are actively screaming that chorus back to the band. And it shows how much positivity and how much love not only people have for the band, but how connective they are to their audience if that can happen. I have heard artists do stuff like that, and I always want to shine light on it just due to the fact that it just shows how strong the Vamps are for Magnolia Park, how strong the fandom is for Magnolia Park, and how much more accessible this can be for so many people when they give it a listen if they haven't yet. Or if you haven't seen them perform live, go and see him perform live, because don't you want to be a part of something like that? Don't you want to experience that? Don't you want to go to work the next day and think that was absolutely worth the lack of sleep? Because next week, I'm not going to remember getting enough sleep for work. I remember seeing Magnolia Park doing some absolute crazy shit. That was so much fun. I want to go see him again and again and again and again.
Heck yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited.
I'm not trying just to pump you guys up because, that's part of the podcast. We got to make sure the band's pumped up, but this is all legit. If I wasn't behind it, if I wasn't fully believing it, I wouldn't say it. So holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah. The feeling was unbelievable. We've never had a crowd, I would say, like that loud. So I'm really excited to do another headline like tour and experience that.
Well, you got everybody in the US, you have a whole entire chance to top that UK crowd, top that London crowd on their headlining run through April and May. You have a chance to do it. And I'm hoping that everybody does that. And if we don't do that, at least for one show, at the bare minimum, one show on this headlining run, then we have failed and we have to do a lot better.
Yeah, I'm sure the US always does great for us. It's so I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited.
I mean, I'm going to have to ask you at the end of the run, did it actually happen? Did anybody top that UK show? And if you say no, we'll have to put out like a social media post like, we told you guys to do it, you didn't do it. And then just with like a meme that's like, what the heck?
Yeah,
Come
what the heck? Yeah, though I believe like New York, Seattle, Orlando, those are all like crazy like places for us. So I believe something will happen there.
I'll give a lot of believability to Orlando for you guys doing a hometown show for people to really dive deep into it. But I'd love to see places like New York get into it because, again, you said it was hotbed for you guys, and Seattle, places that aren't your hometown. So it's just like, yeah, it just shows even stronger of how great Magnolia Park is and how it's connecting with fans and how you guys are just doing overall as a growing band that is influencing a lot of people in a positive way through your music.
Thank you.
So after VAMP releases, after the tour, what else can we expect from Magnolia Park in 2025?
We have Warped Tour, which is super sick because I never even got to go to the Warped Tour. I was a little too young, and then by the time it was like closing, I just like never got to go to it, and it's just like an honor to be able to play it for sure.
Don't you guys also have Louder Than Life coming up as well?
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. Louder Than Life. Like, there's so many Louder Than Life. I wasn't sure if I was able to talk about that actually, but yeah, there's other stuff coming. I'm I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about the other stuff yet. So.
All right. I was like, how can you not talk about Larger Than Life? The line's been out for like a month and a half.
Yeah. It's connected to something that I'm not allowed to announce yet. So that's why I was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had a feeling it was connected to something, and now what I'm hoping is that people know that it's connected to something, but they're going to be looking through the bill and being like, okay, who is it connected to? Who could they be touring with? What could this all be? And just get that, like, you know, fever pitch going before that announcement gets made. Maybe May, June, who knows? But now you got me intrigued.
Heck yeah. It's gonna be really sick.
Well, I'll say I would go on and look up the lineup now, but you know what? Nah, I'll do that later, but also let everybody else do it later. Just let them get, put their imagination in the movie, because I don't want to say something, have you accidentally drop something that you shouldn't,
Yeah.
Well, Tristan, as we wrap up, I got one more question I want to ask you. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Now, this is a question I love to ask every single artist I bring in the podcast, a way for us to, get to know more new music as fans and lovers of music, and for you to get to help support so many of those artists that you love and want to support as well. I have to limit to 3, because if we could go overboard and we could spend the next 30 minutes talking about this, and that could be a little too much. But I'm going to limit it to 3. So Can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into right now?
Yes. Number 1, Honey Revenge is super amazing people and super amazing band. You should go check them out ASAP if you can. Number 2, they're already really big, but I love them so much. Loathe, they're kind of like a metal core but like at the same time like Deftones kind of band. They're so sick. Trying to think. The third, TX2. Evan is such a I know he's like a social media personality, but Evan's such a great like human behind the TX2 moniker and the band and Cam and everybody. So like TX2 has a lot of cool music coming out for sure.
You already knew exactly what you wanted to say. Those are 3 high quality picks. I do want to put this out there though. The amount of times I've asked that question, and one of the answers has been Honey Revenge is been impeccable. I've been asking it for almost 2 years now, and Honey Revenge seems to always be an answer. It's like, it's probably the top answer at this point, and it's always fun being able to cut that up, put that on social media of like the 3 that you say, and tag Honey Revenge and just see. It's like, yep, here's another one. Here's another one. Let's just keep it rolling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're Devin and Donnie they are both great people, so.
I still want to get that time where I can get Donnie on the podcast. I had Devin on the podcast back, I want to say in 2023, right before their album came out. And it was like, yeah, this band definitely has a lot of positive behind them. Let's see if they can capture that and continue to grow with it. And yeah, they've done that.
Hell yeah.
So great picks, but another pick you want to make sure you check out is Magnolia Park if you haven't already, but you're here, so I'm pretty sure you just checked them out at some point in time. Now check out their music, because that seems like a good idea.
Yeah, new album out Friday.
Perfect. So Tristan, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast today. I really appreciate it, but I'm going to close this with 3 things. So first things first. Yes, Magnolia Park's new album, VAMP, comes out on Friday, April 11th. If you're watching this on release day, it comes out tomorrow. If you're watching this anytime after release day, that album's already out. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to follow along with Magnolia Park. Go to the description of the podcast. It's going to say Find Magnolia Park online. Links, labels for all their social media accounts, where you can find them on YouTube, where you can stream the album, where you can go see them play live, especially on this headline run and any other run they have in the future. Get some merch, support them. It's all going to be down there. I've got all the links, all the labels. I'm doing all the research for you guys. All you have to do is click and go. Come on. It's easy. Don't let me down on this. Now it's time for number 2, Tristan. Whenever a guest on the podcast or join the podcast, I tend to make a certain promise as a way to say, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to join us, and I wish you continue to support the band in the future. And this is how I do it. It is not an if. It is a when I can see the band perform live for the first time. I will come and find you. I will come and say hello to you, because I want to say hello to you in person. But that's not the promise. The real promise is first round's on me.
All right. Bet. Yeah, Josh would love that too.
And here's the big issue too with that now, especially just if this works out, because you guys are going on tour with Hot Milk, and I literally interviewed them the day before I got to interview you. I might lose a lot of money at that Chicago show, but worth it.
Yeah, it would be worth it.
Absolutely worth it. Now it's time for number 3. As we bring this episode to a conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye. That is way too final. Tristan, this was incredible. I got to make good on that promise. Beyond that, though, with everything you guys are doing, not only as a band, but also with all the positive you want to put out in the world, I want to be back on the podcast again soon so we can take a look at everything you guys have done to make that positive impact musically and as humans. So this cannot be goodbye. This is, I'll see you later.
See you later. Thank you.
Woo! Well, folks, this is my interview with Tristan from Magnolia Park. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. This band could be that one that's going places again. I'm loving seeing this because of how many artists I'm bringing on the podcast recently and that we are going to have in the future that are going to be these bands. Like I said, we interviewed Hot Milk the day before we did the Magnolia Park one that'll come out later. They're a band, especially their new album, that could definitely do something like that. I've got an interview coming up with Calva Louise. She's an artist that could definitely be doing something like that as well. I had to look at the board. But this is where it comes from with Magnolia Park. We had an idea of exactly who they were, and we saw what that was, but we weren't sure exactly where they were going to go next. On VAMP, they showed it in droves. They showed they can bring a heavier side and a heavier element to their music. They showed that they understand when it comes to writing something that's hooky, but also something that is going to have those moments that absolutely pop. That is on this record as well. Beyond that, though, they learned how to produce that stuff. They've got help from some of the biggest producers out there that connected with them on this. And they are creating a group of fans and creating a culture around the band that is going to be bringing positivity everywhere they go. Getting to Magnolia Park should be required for all heavy listeners right now, whether rock or metal, even like on the pop punk side, whatever it is, it should be required listening at this point, to be honest with you. And check them out, see what they're into, because by the time next year kicks off, 2026, I can't wait to see how far this band has gone. I want to thank Tristan for coming to the podcast today. If you want to follow along with them, go stream the podcast below where it says Find Magnolia Park Online. Link symbols there for everything, for where you can find them on social media, where you can find them online, where you can go see and play live, where you can go get some merch, and of course, when VAMP comes out, where you can stream it, listen to it, everything is going to be down there. Please also follow us on the Chord Progression Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Those links are in the description below as well. Hit subscribe right down here if you're on YouTube. Hit the follow or subscribe button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you're listening to us there. Hit the like button on those episodes here on YouTube, but somewhere else in, the audio world, to help push these episodes in the algorithm, help get more people know about us, and of course, Magnolia Park as well. I want to thank Tristan once again. This was fun. I love this one. And that's going to be from everybody. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes. Big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah.